Hello everyone, so today video on the 2020 Cyclocross World Championships in Dubendorf, so that's in Switzerland. So first row we've got a lot of Belgians, a lot of Dutch riders, so that's in function of the individual cyclocross ranking. And we see Pidcock is in second row because he's ninth place in the individual ranking, and Van Aert had to start on the third row because he's on 32nd place in the individual cyclocross ranking. But good start from both Pidcock and Van Aert who move up pretty well. And no surprise here, Van der Poel, great start. He was, of course, the favorite of this World Championship. He's been dominating all season. I think he only lost one race, where he ended up second behind Tonaert. So yeah, for the podium we also had Tonaert, who was one of the favorites. He won the World Cup. The reason why Mathieu didn't win that World Cup was because he didn't participate in all rounds. I think that why was that? Because he had to finish his road season. So with the World Championship in Yorkshire, and so that is why Tonaert won. Although he didn't win as many how would you call them, race days as Mathieu van der Poel did. And then we've got Ellie Isabit also here in third in the corner, who had a great start of the season and a great season overall. Van Aert, Van Aert 3 times world championship. All his world championships he's ended up on the podium. So his first one he was second behind Van der Poel, then he won 3 times in a row, and last year he was second behind Van der Poel. Then we also have a couple of other Belgians. So who do we have? Laurens Sweek, who's Belgium champion, Michael van Turnhout, Tim Merlier, Quinten Hermans, and of course Tom Pidcock. So Tom Pidcock from Great Britain, who really wanted to get a medal in this World Championship. He said it quite often. I'll speed this up. How do I do that? Yeah. So, and then we've got the Dutch team. So, of course, Mathieu van der Poel, but also Corne van Kessel. Who else? Lars van der Haar, but he didn't do quite so well in this race. But yeah, so those are the major contenders for today's podium and win, but with as clear favorite Mathieu van der Poel, who from the first lap took the lead. And this course was, many people said it would be a really fast course, really boring course, a bit like Hogerede. That was a week or two before this World Championships, where Mathieu van der Poel won, of course. But it rained a lot, and so the course was quite muddy, and we'll see a lot of gaps towards, well, even after the first lap, actually. And so it wasn't as a fast course as predicted, and there were huge gaps, not like peloton riding like we saw in Hogerede. Even in Hogerede, Mathieu van der Poel only won with 10-20 seconds, something like that. And he stayed with a big group of like 10 riders the whole race and only attacked, I think it was last lap. So we won't see that today. But also in the other categories, so the gaps were pretty big. And even the day before when it was still dry. So yeah. Let's see what happens here. First lap. I actually didn't see this live. But so yeah, Mathieu van der Poel leading, Tonaert, Isabit, Van Turnhout, Dutch rider Corne van Kessel, Tim Merlier, Quinten Hermans, Pidcock, Sweek. And here I don't see Van Aert. He had a good start, but he's been moving backwards. Oh no, I see him now. Okay, so yeah, and Van Aert also had ambition to do podium. He said it a couple of times. And yeah, let's see what happens. Seems like there's a gap here behind Van Turnhout. So yeah, a gap with Tonaert and Mathieu van der Poel, and then the two teammates, Elie Iserbyt and Van Turnhout. So yeah, it was supposed to be a pretty fast course, but finally with the mud, I saw it would have an advantage for Toon Aert and Van Aert, who ride pretty well in the mud. Of course, with Van der Poel still being the major favorite, but maybe there would be more spectacle. Like we saw Toon Aert performing pretty well in mud, for example in Namur, where he didn't take the win, but was close, and because he fell, he still got second behind Mathieu van der Poel. And Van Aert was a good runner, so these little hills where he had to run, he was pretty strong. So yeah, first lap, Van der Poel already creating a gap. He's not messing around. He wants his third world title. First one he got in his first year as a pro. Second one he got last year. And then aiming for his third one this year. We'll see only Belgians, two Dutch riders, and Pidcock the Brit in the final top 10. So yeah, Belgium had the numbers, but he had a great season, and this isn't his best result of the season. So here after lap 1, Mathieu van der Poel already has a gap. And yeah, quite surprising here. Toon Aert asking for help from Elisabeth. Not strong enough to close the gap on his own. 12 seconds already after one lap. I wasn't expecting that at all. I saw Toon Aert could hang with Mathieu van der Poel longer than that, but Mathieu van der Poel wasn't kidding around. He wanted that third world championship title. And if we move forward a bit, we're not gonna see much. To be fair, Mathieu van der Poel is gonna dominate the whole race. Then we'll have a battle for the remaining podium spots with a lot of Belgians, Pidcock, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so I cut a bunch off because, to be fair, not much happened. Just Mathieu van der Poel in the first, as we see here, Pidcock attacking. That's why I moved it forward a bit. So in the first lap, we just saw Mathieu van der Poel attacking, Toon Aert being able to follow, but then he wasn't able to follow anymore. So Van der Poel was on his own after the first lap already. And then we just had a bunch of Belgian riders, Corne van Kessel also, and Tom Pidcock, who were chasing, but I think already thinking of the medals. And then Pidcock attacked halfway the race, and Isabit was able to follow. So both of them in the first year as professionals, like full-time professionals, they both already had done some professional races, but this was their first full year as professionals. And so they'd been battling that a lot in the U23 categories with Pidcock taking the World Championship title last year, and the year before I think it was Eli Isabit, and both having a great season as first year professional riders. And Isabit was able to follow other riders trying to close the gap with Van Aert, Laurens Week, Michael van Turnhout, and Corne van Kessel from the Dutch team. As we see Van der Poel with already a big gap. And here Pidcock on his own, Ellie Isabit not being able to follow anymore. And yeah, it's also not normal speed. I speeded up a bit so that it would be faster. As we see Van Aert closing the gap on Isabit. And as of now, I think everybody was just thinking of second place, third place, and we'll see Isabit, who was first able to follow Pidcock. He will completely crack, and he won't have a good result. He'll finish 10th, which is quite disappointing if you look at this whole season where he had great results and a lot of wins in the start of the season when Van der Poel wasn't there yet. And Van Aert pretty much closes the gap with Pidcock. Well, he did like a couple of seconds ago. Now the gap is bigger again. And so, yeah, basically a time trial for Pidcock trying to get that silver medal. And we'll see on this course, they change bike nearly every lap. Maybe not the last lap, but every lap they try to change because of the mud. So, yeah. As we see here, Corne van Kessel couldn't follow. Laurens Week couldn't follow. So yeah, we've got 4 Belgians chasing Pidcock. And the gap between Pitcock and those chasing wasn't that big, to be fair. When I was watching this, I thought it would come back, as we see is a bit not being able to follow the three Belgium chasers and Swig coming back. So yeah, the gap was pretty small at first, but Tom Pitcock kept on going and he was able to maintain his gap and actually never got caught. The last couple of rounds, it seemed like he was going to get caught, but he never really got caught. And so yeah, that was nice pacing from Pitcock, and also of course nice pacing from Van der Poel, who every race he does, and when he gets on his own, it's quite fascinating to see his run times because they're all really close. Like all his run times are pretty much the same, and he's not losing a lot of time in in the further laps into the course. As we're more than halfway through here, and so yeah, bike change, a lot of bike changes because of the mud. The mud got getting into the components, which wasn't great. So that's why they're changing. And here we see like the gap is so small, a couple of seconds. And yeah, but they never got Pitcock back. So yeah, Pitcock leading, small gap on Toon Aert, who had a small gap on Van Aert. And then Michael van Toornout will be replaced by Swig, who comes back, which is a good performance from Swig because we usually know him like a good sand rider, or he's good on really fast courses, but today with the mud wasn't especially a course that suited him so well, but he's still in the top 5, which is pretty good in my opinion. And then yeah, so Mathieu van der Poel already having a minute and a half of an advantage. It's clear that he's gonna win here. There's only still a little bit of suspense for the final medal, so that's gonna be a battle between Pitcock, Aert, and Wout van Aert. One of them is gonna miss a medal, but unfortunately for Van Aert, he will have a puncture. I'm not sure which wheel, but he'll have a puncture and will lose out on a potential silver or bronze medal, and he'll have to settle with fourth. We see Van der Poel with already a huge gap, more than 3 minutes, more than 4 minutes on 10th position. Already 2 minutes on Van Aert, who's in 4th position. So that's pretty crazy. Amazing ride for him, and this is also his last race of the season for cyclocross. And so yeah, here we see the gap between Pitcock and Toon Aert. Toon Aert will not do a bike change, so he can close the gap, is really small. But they never were able to come back, and Van Aert now has a bigger gap because he punctured. So yeah, for Pitcock, I think yeah, his cross season isn't over, so we'll see how he does now that Mathieu van der Poel won't be there anymore. Maybe he's able. He won the British National Championships, but except for that, I don't think he won any other race. So yeah, and in the World Cup races, he never got a podium, I believe, this year. So getting second place here is really good for him. And yeah, here we see Toon Aert with a 6 second gap, 7 second gap. So it's really not much, as we see here. Van Aert who punctured, who is getting cut up by Swig, but we'll see later on he's able to nearly catch Toon Aert again. So it was really a good performance from Van Aert. Maybe he would have been able to, if he didn't puncture, he would have been able to get bronze medal, or maybe even catch up with a Pitcock, because here we see what was his gap with Toon Aert. His gap with Toon Aert was pretty big here because he punctured, and then he was able to finish just behind him. So strong performance from Van Aert, who will still do 2 races this season in cyclocross. So in Lille and somewhere else, 2 races near his hometown. And then he'll be going on a 3-week training camp in altitude at Tenerife. Greg van Avermaet also doing that, so to prepare for the classics. So here we see that he's got a nearly a 30-second gap on Tonaerts, but he's pretty much able to close that with only one lap remaining, so strong performance from him. Maybe he's able to get a win in the next two cyclocross races because Van der Poel isn't there. Let's see. And then yeah, that's pretty much the race. Mathieu Van der Poel getting away lap 1, dominating the race. Crazy from him. And also the first rider ever to be in the top 10 in both the Cyclocross World Ranking, the World Ranking, and the Mountain Bike World Ranking. So I think in on the road he's on a 10th place. Cyclocross he must be second or something like that, behind Tonaert. And then on the mountain bike he's also in the top 10 with so yeah, that the first rider ever to do that. So yeah, really proves his talent in all the disciplines. So yeah, Pitcock in second with Van Aert just behind him. The gap really isn't that big, and then Van Aert also, who after his puncture had a 30-second gap, but this is clearly not a 30-second gap anymore. So he closed that down pretty well. Maybe he would have done better if he didn't have a puncture, but that we'll never know. And punctures are part of the game, as we see, part of the sport, as we see Van der Poel changing his bike. You'll see why later. I mean, he didn't have to change his bike. But you'll see why later, as he's struggling up this after a great race, long season, an hour and 9 minutes, always longer than normal cyclocross races. And yeah, pretty happy. I mean, he deserves it. Great season, great race. He dominated. And also the Dutch team dominated because they got a lot of medals. So the women elite, they got a full podium, as Mathieu Van der Poel shows his bike canyon for the sponsors. So yeah, the Dutch team also got the world title for the men's U23, I think, and also the bronze medal behind a Swiss guy. Didn't get any medals for the men's junior. That was a full Belgian podium, but they probably also got medals for the women under 23 and the women juniors. So yeah, as we see, Tom Pidcock, who is gonna arrive. I mean, he said he would not doing a changing bike. He doesn't have time for that. As we see Tonaert, who's I mean, who nearly was able to catch up with him, but not quite. So yeah, great performance from Pidcock, who said he was aiming for podium, and he got a second place, which is pretty much a victory behind Mathieu Van der Poel for everybody this season, because Mathieu Van der Poel was pretty much invincible. So yeah, he said he'd do it, and he did it. Congrats to him. Great race, amazing, and we'll see what he can do in the next couple of years, because I mean, it feels like he's been here for years, but Pitcock is still pretty young. As we see Tonaerts crossing the line, bronze again, just like last year. Probably a little bit disappointed. This is the result: Van der Poel on 1, Pitcock on 2, Tonaert on 3, Van Aert on 4, and then Lowenstreek on fifth position. That's a pretty good race for him on a course like this. Michael van Toornout, good race. Van Kessel, Tim Merlier, who was hoping for less mud, I guess, and a faster race as a Belgian champion on the road. Quinten Hermans and then Eli Isabit in 10th position. He'll be disappointed. I mean, he had a great season, a great start of the season with a couple of wins. So he'll be disappointed with a 10th place. And we saw him pretty much on the front the whole time. And he even was able to follow Pidcock when he attacked, but then he cracked, and yeah. That's a 10th place for him. He won't be that happy, I guess. So, Van der Poel, that was his last race of the season. Ooh. And he'll do, his next race will be the Volta al Gavre, and a nice competition there. I mean, nice riders like Remco, Geraint Thomas will be there, so yeah. And then he has a nice program with Omloop Nieuwsblad. He didn't do last year. Strade Bianche, Milan-San Remo also he didn't do last year. They got a wild card. And then the Volta Ciclista Catalunya, I guess that's instead of the Tirreno Adriatico, where his team didn't get a wild card because his team isn't World Tour. Dwars door Vlaanderen won last year. Tour of Flanders, Paris-Roubaix didn't do last year. the Brabantse Pijl he won last year, Amstel Gold Race he won last year, and then La Flèche Wallonne. And to be fair, he's such a good rider. I see him doing well on every single of those races, and then he'll focus on his mountain bike to get a podium. He wants to be world Olympic champion with his mountain bike in Tokyo. And Wout van Aert, so he still has two cyclocross races and then 3 weeks training camp in Tenerife, and then he'll start with Strade Bianchi, where he did well the 2 last years with getting a podium each time, and that was pretty much his breakthrough in the international world on the road. So he was known for cyclocross, he was known for little races in Belgium, but this was pretty much his breakthrough. Milan-San Remo, where he also got a top 10 last year. I see him doing well this year too. I also see him doing well on every single race he participates in, if he's able to get his good level back after a crash last year at the Tour de France. But I don't think that will be a problem. I mean, he's shown it during cyclocross season that he was pretty good, and he's already been selected for this year Tour de France. So I mean, he cannot be bad or not recovered fully. So yeah, excited to see what he's able to do, and he will skip on Lopet Nieuwsblad this year. So yeah, let's see what that gives. Thank you all for watching. And